What's up? How the fuck am I supposed to explain Tekken to a newbie without sounding insane? You fight a bear at some point. Shit. Let's just get the normal basics out of the way. Starting in 1994, this arcade fighting series took the world by storm with its unique control scheme. While most fighters set up with low punch, low kick binds, and the mid sometimes, this one stands out more, where each of the 4 buttons correspond to a limb. Left punch, left kick, you get the point. While it is simpler and actually easy to pull off some special moves, it still makes for fast-paced and precise action. It's always amazing how the simpler the control scheme, the more moves it gets. Just look at the amount of at least one of them. Not to mention fire from multiple stances. And don't get me started on Yoshimitsu, which brings me to the Inane stuff. If you thought Daryl Live was crazy, you have seen nothing yet. Family drama that's way more out there than the McMahons, at least on screen. Animal experiments, cyborgs, cyborg ninjas, monsters, demons, gods even. I should have played this way sooner because holy shit. Instead, I went with the obscure yet way more grounded Kensei, as well as Daryl Live in that Street Fighter EX game. I was a late bloomer when I first played Tekken. It was the second game on the PS1 ages ago when I was recording it for a video, and I did not expect how different the control scheme was. You press 2 buttons back to back for combo punches? I can't deal with this, I'm going back to Kensei. But it has grown on me more recently, and while I'm still rather bad at it, I enjoyed it a lot. Plus, it's just funny seeing a bear fighting other people. Also, Ningo from The Walking Dead is here too. Still a better choice than Cristiano Ronaldo. But I'm getting way ahead of myself. Let's travel back to the year 1999, before Namco decided to ground things down somewhat with Tekken 4. You still fight a bear there though. Maybe I should review that someday, but not now. Tekken Tag Tournament was a literal arcade game first, released to bowling alleys and places that allow such cabinets in 1999. Running on Namco's System 12 board is essentially an enhanced version of Tekken 3, with just a tag mechanic and all the characters from the first 3 games. Well, almost, but I'll get to that. It even looks like Tekken 3, which is nice to see. As with any Tekken game released to the arcade, it eventually got ported to the home console, but not the PlayStation despite the hardware being based on such. Oh no, this particular game will be released as a launch title to its offspring, the PlayStation 2. How original. So with some further ado, I'm gonna play a little piece on the piano, don't ask why, and I will not tolerate any orgasm while I do so. You must be joking. As with any Tekken game, it plays a little FMV that showcases the stars of the game. The arcade version, which plays in the console port too, shows people like Jin, Jun, Kazuya, Paul, and Li Xiaolan just doing whatever. Though depending on the version, either has Paul riding his bike or Li driving a Honda S2000. However, that's not the first time FV you'll be seeing when he brought up the console port. Instead, is this one that's a little longer, but shows people like Nina putting on makeup, Lane chasing a minivan, Kazuya being all bossy, Jun and Jin contrasting each other, and Brian fucking Fury just shooting people. Nice! I much prefer this over the arcade one, even if it doesn't have any product placement whatsoever. Great car and all, but it's no Geo Metro. And speaking of that, weirdly, the arcade version doesn't have any MBU like in Tekken 3, but the console port does, coupled with a nice song for it. Devil Jin is not playable in this game, just be patient. Now, if I were a hack, I'd just review the game by only playing the Tekken Force mode and give it a bad review. But unfortunately, there's no Tekken Force here. What bullshit. There's no Tekken Ball either, but don't fret, you can unlock something special once you unlock enough characters. But let's get to the game proper, starting with the roster. Oh look, Brian Fury is unlocked from the start, that's great. And so is Big, Yanryu, Armor King, Gunjack, and my main, Anna Williams. She's the better of the sisters, I think. In fact, including the unlockables, the roster is comprised of all the fighters from the first 3 games, except for Gon and Dr. Baskanovich. And technically the first King, first Kuma, first Jack, and Martial Law. The Law here is actually his son, Forrest, but let's not go into that rabbit hole. Now, Gon is understandable, he's actually a guest character from a manga series, but Dr. B's exclusion here is just weird. I guess this game only counts those that appear in the arcade versions, playable or not. Oh well, at least there's a Jax and Tiger Jackson, which you can play as by pressing the right shoulder buttons on Eddie. That doesn't mean this game doesn't have any new fighters. The final boss is one, which I'll talk later, as is Tetsujin, literally Metal Mokujin. But other than that, that's basically it. Oh yeah, it's a tag game, so pick 2 of them. I should preface the presentation talk by saying that the game shouldn't look like this on the actual console. Like in Sophie's Here Comes the Pain video, I used an emulator, scaled up the resolution, and used a no interlace patch for the game, which is why it looks so good here. I recorded this way because I think it will look pretty on video than just capturing from a real PS2. It doesn't look terrible on it, but still. Anyways, for a launch title, it's not bad. The characters kinda have this smooth and glossy look that's synonymous with early PS2 games. I get that later Tekken games look a lot better even on the same console. The difference here is night and day. But I love the visual charm here. They kinda resemble the promotional renders for Tekken 3. Almost. It's not exactly one-to-one, mind you, but I still like it regardless. I'd make a shitty joke about how it looks better than the latest Tekken, even if that's just stretching, but there are people who unironically think so. I'll bet if they look at the graphics in Tekken 1, they still go, still better than 8. While the stages look fully 3D, deep down, you're never gonna reach the limits. Much like the first 3 games, the stages are just infinite treadmills or whatever equivalent that's better. You'll never skip this full plane is what I'm trying to say. The 3D backgrounds and all that, it just looks so weird. Somehow Street Fighter EX did something like this, and yet it looks better implemented, whereas this just breaks my brain in a way. The HUD is simple yet understandable, easy on the eyes, and it looks $1 million more expensive than what VF5 Revo has. The character select screen is also a treat too. Look, you can see what the characters look like after pressing one of the confirm buttons. I always appreciate it. I hate waiting to see if I picked the right attire after selecting. For audio, it's a lot similar to the first game, at least the hit sounds and all that, and at least they're great enough for me. I fucking miss these. They have a lot more pizzazz than what modern fighting games have. Same for the voice acting. Aside from the announcer, they are listed from the previous 2 games, which means you get to hear Anna say "ouch!" and Daisuke Gore giving it all with Heihachi's losing scream. Awesome. I'm still surprised he used to voice both him and Bass Armstrong from Dead or Alive until his untimely death. Although, you also get to hear Brian's lackluster losing grunts, which is still a disappointment. I get that he's invincible or whatever, but he should play along. Ah! Still has my favorite laugh at least. Time for music, and oh boy, the soundtrack debate keeps raging on to this day when it comes to the first 3 games and tech. Some prefer the arcade soundtrack, while others will rather listen to the console arrangements. I'm more of the latter weirdos, but if you like the arcade versions better, then that's fine by me. But if you say that the console arrangements lack any soul whatsoever, then I think you're the weirdo. But anyways, this game. I actually like both soundtracks. I think the PS2 arrangements are still the best, but the arcade one ain't no slouch. A few of the tracks actually sound more drum and bassy with its implementation of the yamen breaks or similar, particularly for the school stage. Likey. I actually love both versions of the stage equally, so much as rearranged versions of the arcade originals like Heihachi, Law, and Lei stages, and Paul's stage is just unchanged, it still kicks ass between versions. But others have a completely different sound. For instance, Xiao Yu's stage sounding more discount than the arcade original. Had Tiger Jackson not have that rocking beat in Tekken 3, he would definitely have this as his theme because this is sick. But while I generally prefer the latter over the former, there are a few where I'd prefer the arcade version of the PS2 one, like Jin Stage sounding more fitting for a fight and not a dance club, even if I still like it. For the final boss stage, I just wish they kept the drums from the arcade version. But I guess they didn't want people drawing comparisons to Akuma's from Third Strike. But even then, I still like the console versions better. While this theme will be perfect for Oga's Aztec-inspired stage in the arcade original, the PS2 one is just so much better. Going back to the arcade version and playing this stage makes me go, where are the violins?
No eye, no ear, no nose, no hand, no body, no eye, no shape, no.
Now for gameplay. As I said, this game, like any other mainline Tekken game, uses this unique system where every face button corresponds to a limb, square and triangle for punches, and X is a circle for kicks. Fans usually refer to them as 1, 2, 3, and 4 respectively, which explains why the guys have the move inputs typed like that. More efficient than just running the buttons, or letter for that matter. Takes a little while to get used to it if your previous experience with something like the Capcom Fighter, or in my case, Virtua Fighter, but when you do, it can be satisfying to pull combo punches and other such moves. However, to me at least, it can be rather difficult to input them with a gamepad. VF with a gamepad is so much easier than this, I swear. It's one of the reasons why I bought an arcade stick. I would just play with a keyboard, but come on, give me that arcade experience I crave for. But yeah, I love the gameplay here. The flow is just as well as VF5, so smooth yet precise. It is just Tekken 3 on a more advanced hardware after all, so if you're really familiar with that game, you'll certainly fit here perfectly. You can sidestep, you can supercharge, you can cook reversal denying chickens, and you can do the electric wind god fist at Jin and Heihachi, but not Kazuya, because fuck him. Although, this game doesn't have any stunning ass-shaking taunt which bumps me up, but still. However, the characters from the first two have been overhauled, now featuring several new moves. But the biggest change of all is Li Xiaolan. He now has a different main stance, a new alternate stance known as a Hitman stance, and a lot more moves like the Lee harassment, very much moving away from being a martial law clone. Oh, I really want to do that to Claire. And much like Dead or Alive, there's chain grabs, and the Kings are masters of that.
Perfect.
The Williams sisters are no slouches either, but if I can be honest, I hardly do these moves because it's hard for me to remember how to do them. Doesn't help that most of the subsequent moves are more complicated to do than just circular motion and then grab button before it's too late. And at least they give you a bit of ample time to input them, unless your opponent reverses it. Here you have to know the specific set of input to continue the chain, and they have to be pressed in quick succession. Not much ample time, just do it. And yeah, that's Tekken 3 for ya. Except this isn't Tekken 3, it's Tekken Tag Tournament, which means we have to talk about that second T word. No! The main draw is tag team matches, where you pit 2 against 2 and switch partners as backup. If you have low health, press one of the shoulder buttons and you play as a different character with more health than the other, who is healing up, at least to the point where the red bar ends. That can make the fight really frantic, having to switch partners on a regular, especially if you're eating a lot of shit. But while I like it, I don't like how if the co-fighter that's fronting gets KO'd, the route just ends then and there. It can be frustrating. I'm more used to Dota 2's tag system in that if one partner gets knocked out, the other comes to do it for them. This one is a lot less forgiving. Even if your partner on the side has a lot of health, if you get knocked out, the round is completely over. So it goes by pro wrestling rules? That's gonna put a damp on things. Well, at least you can do tag throws like that game. However, it's not all doom and gloom, as this game features something called the Netsu system. Literally, rage system! The kind of shit you expect in Tekken 6 onwards. If you receive enough damage, your partner's life bar flashes, telling you that they'll deal more pain to the opponent for a short period of time once you switch. And I like it. If you're feeling strategic, might as well use it to your advantage. However, if you use certain pairings, the amount of damage you receive will be lowered if you're playing as the Changs, Risen, or the system just won't work at all if you're playing as the Williams sisters. I'm having trouble here! Help me out, sister! Ouch! Plus, if you tag your partner while juggling, you can destroy their red bit completely, which is so satisfying. If only I could smoothly and quickly do that. Time for difficulty. I usually play this game on the normal difficulty, and even then, it still can be really challenging. Starting from the 4th round, I mostly eat shit a lot and have to waste a few quarters to keep fighting. Hey, spare the play time for the rest of us, Pinkie. And at the very least, there's even a continuous on the console version, Mortal Kombat 4. The ordering of the fights can be a mess as well. Unlike the previous game I reviewed, except for the last 2 matches, the characters you get to fight are completely randomized, which means you might end up fighting Devil Kazuya or either forms of Ogre midway through the tourney. That is, if you unlocked it before. Speaking of the devil, crazy how it's gonna be one at one point. Should be fine until then, I have other fighters to worry about. While I'm used to some opponents, others are difficult for me to fight against. For instance, Eddie Gordo. Fuck Capoeira, and fuck anyone who uses them! Damn you, handstand! The bears are a bitch to fight too, for obvious reasons. And speaking of which, then there's Xiao Yu. Look at her, such innocence displayed by her happy smile. It would be a shame if I wiped that out of her face. Oh god! Oh god! Oh god! このままでは終わらんぞ! Note to self: never underestimate a happy smile. If she does the Phoenix, you're fucked. Thankfully, the penultimate fight is set depending on the characters you're using. For example, if Brian Fury is on your team, one of the rival partners will be Yoshimitsu or Lei Wulong. If it's Nina, it's gonna be Anna, and vice versa. That is, if you're not playing both. Homerun is Jen, whatever. Either that or just some random boss character, if any of them didn't show up in the middle of the tourney. It is unique, I'll give them that. But after 7 grueling matches, you'll end up fighting this game's final boss, the enigmatic Unknown, whose design leaves little to the imagination. She's just a naked woman with some oil-like goo covering half of her body, though she sometimes wears a dress if she likes. Also, she has a spirit animal of sorts in the form of a disembodied torso of an afro wolf, who mimics how she moves. Must be her persona. Now, you might think that this is gonna be a quick fight. Just one girl in one round, huh? Should be a cakewalk. Hold your horses because there are some caveats. For one, like her wolf spirits, she's a mimic. However, unlike Mokujin, who switches movesets between rounds or tags in this game, she switches them mid-match, much like Shinnok in Mortal Kombat 4, except with much more frequency and nary a loading hang. And because she can switch movesets on the fly, and that also counts as a tag, you will frequently get your red bit deleted. It's not just that. She lives by Darkstalker's rules, in that she heals herself to where the red bit of her bar ends. You can only completely defeat her by draining said bit to the end. It's no easy task when she keeps changing movesets. And oh yeah, she's the final boss and she will kick your ass the hardest. So if you have the skill and the patience to know which moveset she uses, you're gonna have an easier time than me because fuck this bitch. Not literally. But can I just say that I actually love her design? Sure, it's just a naked woman with black goo covering at least her naughty bits, but if I'm being honest, I like the simplicity of it all. Compare her to both Dural from Virtua Fighter and Ogre from Tekken 3. She strikes a pretty great balance to me. The former is alright, but I just think it's too simple. It's a naked woman made out of one painted metal, or stone, or stealth camo at one point. Silver Surfer with tits or whatever, and I can't believe I haven't referenced them in that video. Either way, I can easily do that in Gmod. Plus, while she has a set full of stolen moves, strong ones mind you, it's just that. Sure, the one in Final Showdown could switch stances, but still. If you have the time to start your moves, I'm sure you can defeat her a bit easily. As for the latter, I really like the look of Ogre, at least his ancient form. Big green man with a Mayan/Aztec attire, simple yet effective, fit for a god of fighting. His true form, however, well, I get the intention, it's just too much. Like the designers ran out of ideas on making him more menacing and just thought, fuck it, snake arm! It's rather meh to me. Doesn't help that he isn't as hard to defeat him as his ancient form. Now Unknown, on the other hand, she's about as good, if not better than Ancient Ogre for how simple she looks, yet better than Dural due to her abilities and mysterious allure. It's what makes her very unique to me. Speaking of which, she is quite a mystery. Well, was. Still is? I don't know. Until Tag Tournament 2, she turned a lot of heads, not just because of her looks, although I like to suspect that's mostly the reason, but the other is that she is a final boss that just comes out of nowhere at the end of the arcade mode and isn't well documented, not even in the manual. No mention of her or anything. Her identity? Unknown. Her story? Unknown. Her motives?
Well,
In case you didn't get the reference, unknown! Living up to her name to a T. Some suspected that it might actually be Jun Kazama, except possessed by the wolf spirit, as evidenced by how she starts the round with a moveset and intro pose before ending up switching. And considering how kinda similar she looked, it was plausible. But considering how this game isn't canon to the mainline lore, for one, the game literally has no plot to speak of, and June was just hiding after her Ogre confrontation on Tail 8, it's also plausible that she doesn't actually exist, and this game is all just Jin's devil-related nightmare. Wait, if June is still canonically alive, whose head was that in Tekken 3's arcade FMV intro? King 1? I don't know. At one point, she was gonna be June's sister, which would explain Unknown using her moveset, but as that became non-canon, it was scrapped, and instead, we got her niece, the normal-looking Asuka, filling that role. Oh, but don't worry, in Tag 2, the devs ran with that theory and made a plot point where Unknown is actually June's evil alter ego, meaning no wolf spirit, but also no moveset switcheroo, as she stuck with hers, plus more. A damn shame, but she's still a hard bitch, with quite the glow-up, hello! But I'm getting ahead of myself. Apart from all that, goals. And after so many gobbled coins of mine, I get to the end, which is like the arcade version, showcasing my opponent's KOs. I like the music playing during them here, but I like the version in arcade original more. I like a good piano session. However, while that doubles as a credit track, and it is in the PS2 port for your listening pleasure, the credit song in this version though? I love violins as much as saxophones. And don't just skip on the credits, as if the song wasn't enough to entice you. After a minute and a quarter, a little in-game cutscene plays with your first let the character doing whatever. Invincible Brian charging towards Lei after being shot, Jin and Xiaoyu having a little shot outside school, King and Armor King training, Kyuri and Yoshi having a duel to the death, it works. So unusual to see in-engine endings in a Tekken game. Except for Unknown, who gets a CG FMV before the credits, where she gets consumed by the spirits only to free herself afterwards. Aren't you special? Man, it always bums me out whenever Anna gets the short end of the stick in her own endings. You know, it's just the worst. It's why I prefer the international version over Tekken 3 ending than most. Yeah, you go, girl! As to be expected, it has a slew of different modes like time attack, survival, team battle, the all-important practice mode, with all the bells and whistles you might expect. If only I could practice my chickens easier though. And shit, one-on-one arcade mode? Unfortunately, this doesn't give you endings or new characters after completing. After all, this is Tekken Tag Tournament, not Tekken Tournament. Actually, let's just remove one-on-one altogether for the PS3 re-release. Nothing wrong with that, right? You also have this if you move left or right on the main menu. Pair play mode. Don't want to fight against your friend? Don't worry, you do co-op instead. And see them eat shit as much as you do. This is fun. And finally, after unlocking True Ogre, you have the best thing about this game, Tekken Ball. Can you guess what it is? American football? It's bowling! Try to hit the pins by throwing the ball in the lane towards them. Earn points in 2 tries per round. That's it really, and yet it has a ton of personality. Each character has their own hidden stats and quirks into them, with big and or powerful ones such as Brian Fury having a much faster spin and power meter that can make it difficult to hit center or easy to overcharge, but overall much faster throwing. Also a cybernetic POV, the jacks are a lot similar.
It's much too unpredictable. Don't let it overcharge.
What do you mean, overcharge?
As I expected.
I'm glad I don't have to pay more money to unlock it. It's shit like that that gives DLC a bad name. So that was Tekken Tag Tournament. What can I say? Great! Years ago, I played and reviewed Street Fighter EX3, a game that's supposed to be a competitor to this. Unlike the last 2 EX games, this one focuses more on multi-person matches, and it also includes a co-op element. However, it has more than just tag matches. It has handicap ones, tornado-style tag matches, and other such nonsense, as well as a character-edit mode where you can create your own drow, in clothed human male form only. While I appreciate the amount of features this game has, even I still prefer this over the other. It's the simpler things that I appreciate. Also bowling, EX3 didn't have that, so it's an easy win for Tekken. In all seriousness, this Tekken in the best way possible. Great gameplay, variety of characters, challenging difficulty, and an unforgettable final boss. To me, this is one of the best launch titles I've ever played for the PS2. Although, if I played this as a kid instead of EX3 or Kensei, I'd probably be more of a boring person. Maybe it's better to play more overlooked shit than just sticking with more popular ones. You never know what weird treasures they're hiding inside. But yeah, Tekken Tag is awesome, that's all I have to say. What a year. What a wretched year it turned out, and not just for the whole world. Mental health problems, changed games because of some factors, or I realized they were really boring and not worth talking about. Computer scares and all that bullshit. It wasn't a great year, and I doubt next year will be better. But I had some good moments. I went to a gaming convention with a friend, which was great. I saw some weird-ass consoles and computers for the first time in person, like the Vectrex, the Commodore PET, the Amstrad Mega PC, a Genesis and DOS computer combo that isn't like the Terra Drive, and this replica Pong cabinet. It's how I got this shot of the Jaguar for my Grid 2 video. John Romero was one of the meet and greet guests, but the line for it was so long that I just didn't bother waiting. At least I got his hair. It's a shame it's also a reminder of how expensive game collecting has gotten throughout the years. I did manage to get FF7 and Formula 1 for the PS1 for cheap, both Japanese versions. And I hope I'll attend next year's edition with more cash in me this time. Regardless, I hope y'all can make it through 2026 in one piece. I'm off to do my January break, but once I return, I'll finally be coming back to the Tokyo Extreme Racer series with the second Dreamcast game. Kenneth, always nice to see you again. So, what do you want to tell me? Today is your last day here. I see. Another good friend leaving me for understandable reasons. I wish I could hug you goodbye, but, well, I'm imprisoned. I apologize. But I'm gonna miss you so much. I'm sure I'll get used to you being gone, but it's gonna take a long while. I've been through a lot in my life. I may have been a terrible person before joining the HEF, but this place, this whole company, always gives me emotional dread. One particular person scarred me for life when I work for them. I have no other friends here to keep me calm, not even the guards somehow. And you leaving is gonna widen an already big gaping hole I inadvertently created. It's not my fault that you're leaving, but it hurts me a lot. Kenneth, I say this once, and you're gonna have to remember it. From the bottom of my heart, thank you for everything. I love you so much, and I wish to meet you again one day.
I have my doubts.
Claire!
So, we probably meet again, Matahari.
I thought I'd never seen the last of you, cunt.
I always love calling you that. Not as a compliment. We all know she was a terrible spy in reality. Oh, isn't it nice, dear? I'm captain of the Gamora squad, and you're just a caged fox waiting to be slaughtered. Just as you deserve it.
I don't deserve this!
Bullshit. And you call me a serial liar? Look at you, in the chamber of liars. If you weren't the liar, we could have had a longer relationship.
Shut up! I was there when you were fucking that guy. Our old house was supposed to be a sacred place. Only both of us could be in there, and yet you desecrated by having sex with him in. If you wanted to fuck someone else, then you should have fucked them somewhere else.
I'm done with your pretentiousness, Matahari. Having sex with him in our apartment was not my biggest mistake. It was trusting a fox like you. And foxes are never to be trusted. Nice red eyes, though.
What happened to you? You're a completely different person. Clean-cut brunette, polo shirt under the trousers, and lack of makeup. If that's not the visual definition of bootlicking, then I don't know what the fuck is.
A successful lady. That's what I am. I want to know you for a while. But here's a heads up. The trial will commence next week. Or your friends will show up to defend you. But it'll be the last time you ever see them.
I have my doubts. If I win this case, I will be free from ever seeing you again. And as a bonus, fuck you, I'll also be hosting the review show naked. And no one is gonna stop me, even if I have to strategically censor the goodies to appease YouTube.
That won't work anymore, Matahari. Come on, Kenny. Let me show you the fairy.
She still tastes like blueberries.